what a day already. Lot to be done. But that's for a later time, eh? Welcome, Gabe. Thank you for the dihydrate. I still gotta eventually work on a few things here. Hello, Bulldog. I think it's actually been a hot minute since I've seen you in my chat room. How's it holding up, everyone? Let me know if the audio is balanced enough. I haven't had a chance to really test these things out. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah. Well, for the most part, you've usually been in Jellycat's thing, and Jellycat isn't streaming today. Audio is balanced. Well, that's good at least. And yeah, Jellycat ain't streaming today, so that's unfortunate, but hopefully they're doing well. And then I am testing my internet for the second time. Because the first time, when was that, Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday. 27th. Yeah, that was last Wednesday. That went relatively okay. Since the last time I tried streaming and everything was dying, I got the wires replaced for my internet. So if there continues to be any major problems for the internet, the next thing to replace is the router. But if it goes anything like Wednesday, it'll be, you know, kind of scuffed. But, like, it won't be, like, dangerously scuffed. Glad to hear it went alright last time. It's a light rain today. Yeah, from what I understand, it's supposed to rain decently today. Not like flood rain, like last time in Limbo. But so far so good, at least. The rain doesn't seem too crazy. Though I would not at all be surprised if the rain was to get crazy. The weather lately... the weather lately has been kind of absurd in a way. Just really going, just ham on all fronts. I suppose that happens sometimes. But yeah, today I chose a slower paced game than before. The game that I played on Wednesday was The Binding of Isaac: Rebirth. And the game that I have picked today is one that I have seen some people playing. You might have heard of it. You have a sandwich. I had a burger earlier. Well, I guess it's not really a burger, it's more of a chicken sandwich. But, like, it is shape of burger, so brain says burger, even though it's chicken sandwich. It was also spicy, because I like my spicy food. Never seen Binding before. Binding of Isaac is a game, it's a game. That's really the best way I can describe it. It's very Newgroundian in nature. Basically, if you didn't grow up on Newgrounds, it's probably going to seem, like, really weird. Hell, it probably will seem really weird to you even if you've been on Newgrounds in the past. And for me, I grew up playing a lot of games on Newgrounds. A lot of them I probably shouldn't have when I was a smaller serval. I turned out fine, I think. But, yeah, it's got a lot of the Newgrounds humor, a lot of poop, and other strange relics of early 2000s internet. The guy at the store absolutely slathered your ham panini with horseradish and wasn't expecting it. It hurt like Chinese mustard? Chinese mustard. First I've heard of that. Oh yeah, what I was going to say. So, the plan today, actually, involves a game that I've seen kind of going around lately. You've probably heard of it. It's Jump King. Yeah, Jump King. Supposedly it's a bit of a rage game, but I've played these kinds of things before, and I don't really get angry at them. So, I guess we'll see where that goes, for me. What can I say? I usually go into these rage games expecting them to be, Oop. I don't know why, but it always seems to think that I need to install something. You don't know about Chinese mustard? You should check it out. It tastes good, but it's spicy. Hello, V. Yeah, there was rules card music playing for a little bit. I think I updated the category. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, I've seen this around a bit from multiple different people. Figured, you know what, I'll give it a shot. Let's see how I do. Legend has it there is a smoking hot babe at the top. Does it have to be a babe? You have heard the legend too? What you gotta say? So you're gonna get that babe, right? Again, why it gotta be a babe, though? Go on and get up there. Oh, he's laughing like a Dark Souls character. So, how does this control? Oh! That's, like, super weird. Oh, there's nothing there. I love how his battle time is like a pronunciation guide, like the name. It's actually been a hot minute since I've played Deltarune. She must be really something. A beauty, I'm sure. Laughing like a Dark Souls character still. It's pronounced Rules is the name of the track. Yeah, I know. It's just that made me think of just how little I've actually gotta get used to the way this controls. Okay, so if I hold space... Hang on. I'm gonna imagine that this is a game that I want a controller for, as opposed to trying to use keyboard. There we go. Yeah, that feels much better. I don't know, there's some games that just feel better with a controller. I imagine a controller better because thumbstick. I'm using a D-pad myself. Oop. Why did you stop jumping? No, I fell down. Well, I guess I did stop jumping in that way. It's very weird to get used to this. How does this jump work? So I hold down a button, and it seems to charge how long it it is to jump up high, and then I have to make sure I am inputting a direction before it launches. Nothing says rage game like immediately having horrid game design. I don't think of it as horrid personally. I've seen horrid. Oop, I keep overshooting that. Don't think I've ever seen this past a second screen. Well, let's see if I can get past the second screen. And if I can, nice. If I can't, you know what? This can be one of the few games that I can actually just hang out in. I don't have to worry about everything like I did with The Binding of Isaac, where it was like, oh dear. All this stuff that's trying to murder me. No, here I'm just face planting repeatedly. And welcome, Poppy. I forgot to say that, sorry. How you doing? Oop. Nothing says rage game like literally this exact level design. Yeah, I can agree on that front. I feel that when it comes to rage games, though, a lot of people kind of what's the word I'm looking for? They kind of overdo the rage part of it. And I mean that, like, the players overdo the rage, because, I don't know. I've never really... Oop. Okay. Well, we made it to the third screen. Watched all versions of Jump King to completion, even watched a YouTube called Bullet write an AI to beat Jump King. I always find, like, learning AIs to be super interesting. I don't fully understand all that's going behind them, of course. But, man, if they ain't interesting to watch. Okay, maybe a little more forwards than that. And less charge than that. Codebullet's done a lot of stuff with AI. He made a Tetris 99 people annihilator, and also a chess algorithm. Chess is one of those ones where it's like, I'm gonna be honest, I actually have no idea how to play chess, so all chess plays look like good plays to me. You could be doing, like, the worst play in existence, and it would still look like a master technique to me. I think I've kind of gotten this part down. Oop. Used to teach it to kids. What was that game called? Not It Takes Two. Shoot. We Were Here, that's what it's called. I played that with a friend once upon a time, and, like, legitimately, there was a puzzle, like, at some point in the game where you have to do chess. So my poor friend had to describe what every chess piece looked like to me, who has basically never seen a chessboard in their lives or on life. Oh, I still have a recording of that, and it's so fun to look over again. It's just a blast. I feel really bad for my friend, though. Don't know if you'll ever understand rage games as like something that would ever exist without the advent of YouTube and Twitch. I can comprehend playing Dark Souls for personal enjoyment. Well, that's because Dark Souls is not really a rage game, it's an RPG. It happens to be challenging. Caught a fairy the other day. You want a peek? Too bad. I guess he just says a bunch of things, eh? No, I think the closest to a rage game I can think of, you know, that's like more of an official thing, would be like Super Mario The Lost Levels. Which is not really a rage game either, but it's, I would say, the closest. Oop. I'm still getting used to the charge for the jump. Must have been her. But, like, y'all remember Cat Mario when that was big? That was a thing where it was like, oh, everyone is raging at this. It's like, and not really. It's not really aggravating to me. I think I have the benefit, though, of playing it knowing that it's designed to be atrocious. Ouch. Ow. Oh. I'll get used to this jump. I swear. That seems more fun than this. I'm having... Well, I don't know about fun, but I'm at the very least, you know, not frustrated by any part of this. It's a nice game to at least chill out with, I find, so far. Still gotta get used to that jump. To be honest, I always have to get used to jumps in games. Certain ones are worse than others, I think. Because, like, A Hat in Time, I remember feeling like the jump was kinda weird. Like, not that it was bad, it just felt off somehow, and I could never fully tell why. Okay, I did the same thing. Cat Mario, I want to be the guy, I am bred, getting over it. How much attention would any of those games have if people didn't make content out of them? How easily would they have been consumed by the sands of time if people weren't throwing chairs on camera out of frustration? I don't know. Though, I will say that I Want to Be the Guy actually had a following before the advent of YouTube. Or YouTuber Let's Plays, I should say. Oop, overshot that. Because I Want to Be the Guy was kind of one of those things where it's like, I forget how it was exactly quote unquote advertised, but it was like, it was one of those things where like the idea was you play this to prove that you're a real gamer. You know, whatever the hell that means. But it wasn't really taking off because Rage game, well, I guess in a way it was. It's just, there was a bit more to its fame than a lot of the token Rage games. It also baffles me a little that people like would make these sorts of games like for a joke is the easy answer, but making a game takes time. How does the novelty of doing your joke not run out as you're developing it? And Pogo Stuck. Pogo Stuck is one that I'm not familiar with, so that must have been something that went under my radar. Confusion Rage games are weird. I will agree on that front. They're usually short, just take very long and focus on you constantly losing progress. Yeah, that's about right. Great example is Battle Kid. We talked about Game Grumps last time during the Binding of Isaac stream, but that's also one of the Game Grumps things I remember. Battle Kid. He got like to that purple flower and just, you know, lots of rage, and then he accidentally picked the wrong button and didn't continue. That's one part that I think will stay rent free in my head when it comes to Game Grumps, at the very least. It's good to have at least a few positive memories, yeah? Then again, it seems they're having trouble with Euro Truck Simulator 2. Oh, did I miss something? Hold on. Pogo Stuck is the Rage game that is popular with Japan currently. Well, that explains why I don't know about it. Also, from what I understand, Euro Truck Simulator is popular because it's like one of those games that you can kind of just chill out on. Aaron's DBZ length struggle against boss number 1 and him telling himself nonsensical stories for motivation. It's funny because he actually did better whenever he was telling himself stories like that. And I feel that there are certain things where I need like additional stimulation to do better in. I prefer the delights of this here bog. You know, I didn't even realize that this was kind of a bog. I wonder what the curve for the jump power is. I don't know. Oh, actually, Poppy, you know how we were talking about like the PlayStation 2's underutilized pressure face buttons? I think that would actually work really well right here. Like, I feel like that would actually work surprisingly well for this. One of your favorites was Jennifer dumped. Oh, yeah! That one was... The first time I heard that one, I bust out laughing so hard I had actually, you know, hurt myself from laughing. Certainly it's intended for Euro Truck to be a chill game, but all except for one Japanese player I've seen tend to crash and flip their trucks over the median at least once per delivery after driving 150 kilometers an hour. Well, there's their problem right there. What then? He's just kind of mumbling to himself. Daydreaming, maybe. I again ask the question, why a smoking hot babe, though? I would do all this jumping for, like, a magnificent feast that can be unrivaled. I like food. Nice. She's too close to the sun, so she's burning smoking hot. If that's actually what ends up being the ending of this, I would laugh. That would be great. I kind of want that to be the case. Lowest common denominator? Probably. Let's see, how do I approach this one? The dark side of express ordering your Nintendo Switch OLED or something, Euro Truck is actually reality. Oh yeah, Gold, you know how I was telling you about the female character in Metro Last Light? Oh yeah, the one that I barely remember? She somehow gets even worse? Maybe that's why I barely remember her. Real drivers go 150 kilometers an hour and flip over. They go too fast. Oops. She disappears for most of the game and just randomly taken hostage, and you save her, and you kid me not. Oh. I'll keep the auto mod on that one. Oh, never mind. But still, it's... Huh. I guess I'm not terribly surprised. I just remember not really remembering her for a reason. Oh. The one female character is. PG-13, there's the one for the stream. Well, I don't feel like I've got an F-bomb dropping anytime soon, so I should be fine. Just like, why? I can understand. Like I said, that's probably why that's probably why I forgot about them as a character. I gotta get used to the timing. I think that's what's the hard part for this. They disappear for most of the game. I remember that happening for another character in Metro 2033. Ouch. I don't remember which one, though. Albeit, you know, that their character doesn't end up like that, so it's less notable in the end. It's almost good enough for the 1970s. I would actually go further back and say 60s. Because the 70s, they were starting. Emphasis on starting to have better representation for females. It wasn't good, but there was progress being made. As opposed to the 60s, where the fight for that representation was, actually just beginning. Well, not really beginning, because it had been a thing before. It's just, that was when it got its loudest. There were actually a lot of civil rights movements around the 60s. Just a little more and you might make something acceptable for today. They also implemented jiggle physics on her for one whole scene. That is one thing I've never fully understood, jiggle physics. I have maybe seen it used in a way that wasn't just like, why once. And it was for that, Pudgy dude in Final Fantasy XIV. I forgot his name. The one that really likes cross-dressing Cloud. Mario knows physics. Oh yeah, they do kind of use jiggle physics for that. Was it Pete's chin? No, Pete's chin is a definite why. Seriously, why did his chin have jiggle physics? I have never seen jiggle physics in such a weird spot of the body. Like, I have seen most of them in, like... The very first case I've ever seen of jiggle physics was with Link's hat. That makes sense to me. You see, because it's a hat, it jiggles in the wind. Yeah, good use of jiggle bones there. Oh, I overshot that. But, like, I also see a lot of usage for boobs, but, like, I have seen exactly 2 games where they use jiggle physics for boobs, and it actually was close to realistic. And in one of those games, the only time it was ever utilized was because the character was shirtless. A time when that would actually apply. The gold realm is forever cursed with Pete's chin. Yeah. I think one of the other weird things I've seen used for jiggle bones. I know that Poppy has VR, but Poppy isn't exactly big on like MMOs. But Zenith is a VR MMO, and it uses jiggle physics for food. Freshly cooked food. So, like, when you make a cookie, and it's fresh out of the oven, it's got jiggle physics. And, not gonna lie, actually kind of cool. She's wearing a top, and it was a type that made it seem like the boobs are trying to clip into each other. Yeah, that happens quite often. Oh yeah, I forgot how big that was. Let us appreciate games such as Terraria, where there's no jiggle physics except for the water, because you can jiggle the water around, and it's more fun than it has any right to be. Actually, there's a thing right there. Why is water physics so much fun to play around in? Like, have any of you played around with the physics demo at any point? Because I still have that Flex demo on my computer. I just boot it up every now and then to play with water. I feel like a 12-year-old every time I do it, but it's just like, it's so much fun for no apparent reason. It was so bad you legit did something you rarely do and just laid back in chair and cringed out of existence. Understandable. What's that? So one of the things that NVIDIA did basically as a means to showcase the power of the PhysX engine was allow, the average user to download the Flex demo. The Flex demo would allow you to play with all the things that PhysX is capable, like cloth tearing, water physics. They even had slime physics, which was also a lot of fun to play with. Red Dead 2 has a water quality slider and it's perfectly fine, but at max setting, the max setting tanks FPS whenever you enter water. Classic Rockstar. Think I've seen this demo? You might have. Gold Clover's top 10 use of jiggle physics in games. You won't believe number 8. Honestly, if I do a top 10, I don't know what it would be of. I think I just gave our little knight here a concussion. Is number 8 Pete? It might be. You have to watch the video and find out. Number 2, Terraria. I actually don't much like the bunnies in Terraria. Not because I don't like bunnies in it. It's more along the lines of they always spawn in the least opportune, parts and end up being murdered by something. Be it the blade that I meant for a zombie or a zombie. They die so often, it's like, no! Little bunny. I usually try to have one bunny in a little cage in the house, so there's one bunny that will forever survive. Though, back before shit, what version was it? There was a specific version where the clowns, the bombs that they threw, would actually destroy blocks, so they could still kill your bunny in a cage. Oop, oop. Ouch. The final frontier. Yes. Just two people on YouTube still making the classic style of gaming top 10 videos, Josh Scorcher and the Quarter Guy. Two bastions of a dead trend. You see, that's how I feel with people who make YouTube poops these days. YouTube poops are a lost art, I think. And the people still doing them are gods at their craft now. Yep, YouTube is where the poop is. I used to drive Mama Serval insane with all of the YouTube poops I'd watch. There was exactly one of them that she liked. Let me see if I can find it again. I can never remember the name. Let's see. Okay, there it is. I won't play it right now. But the video in question that my mom liked, as far as YouTube poops go, is Paula Peen consumes family members on the Foof network. Even the title's dumb as shit. It used to be all Skyrim, Mass Effect, and Gary's Mod, wasn't it? A lot of what I watched when it came to the YouTube poops was like uh a lot of SpongeBob. Fave YouTube poop will forever be Billy Mays smashes his balls with a hammer. I think I remember that. Ow. Ow. I love the little splat he does. It's really hard to take this game as like a rage game because the little splat is just so funny. He's like, maybe I'm easily amused. I love a little slapstick. CS 188 has some good ones. Oh yeah. They're one of the few people still doing YouTube poops. Oop. Ouch. You deserve the agonizing discomfort. uh... Hit. Okay. Oh, one thing that I always... Like, okay. Speaking of things that I do, aside from being, easily amused, does anyone else do that thing in, like, games where if the gravity or the game tilts in a way where you tilt with it? Because, like, in Mario Kart, when you get to those, like, zero gravity segments, I always tilt my head along with it. Talk about shock absorbency. I'm gonna run over my hand with this fully loaded 80,000-pound tractor trailer. Ew. Do not do the thing. Been known to move your head to the side when making my character peek around corners. Does that count? I guess. It's pretty close. I like the CS 188 videos they did editing car reviews. Oh, yeah, those are pretty good. Override tour controls and amnesia and make you smashed Q and D. Okay, so if you want the best game for mashing Q and D for leaning ever, I raise you System Shock either 1 or 2. And System Shock 1 or 2, you lean in like the silliest way possible. In the first game, you can lean almost to a point where you're basically just like, you know the pose, paint me like one of your French girls? You lean that far. Ouch. Q lean left, E leans right. Yeah. In most games, Q and D is lean left or right. Ouch. You become a human L. That would look really weird. Playing an alien game and you can lean up and down and... Oh, you're playing Alien Isolation, aren't you? I would play with that so much just because it looks so stupid. Oh no. Oh, there's a platform there, huh? Oh, oh. I'm on a roll. You also have a model in first person and it doesn't move at all for leaning. Oh, right. I forgot about that. I remember that one messed up Link model from the Ben Drown creepypasta. At one point, he leans like 90 degrees sideways. That's just the regular Link model that leans like that. The effigy of emptiness or whatever is what quote unquote Ben is based on. Elegy. Elegy. I can never remember if it's Elegy. Like, Elegy, I think, is the name of the track itself. I think the statue itself is an effigy. So leaning while looking down looks awful. Head just detaches. Luigi of Emptiness. Why does that sound like a creepypasta name? Alright. Here's your homework, everyone. Your homework is to write a creepypasta called Luigi of Emptiness. I would make an awesome college professor. Just tell you to write dumb shit like creepypastas. Talk to Booze using a Luigi board. Luigi looked into the camera and stole my parents, and now I feel empty. Oh, this poor knight has so much head trauma now. Wait, if I don't move, he just stays on the ground? I'm now imagining someone do like a permadeath, quote unquote, of this game. Mod this game so every fall makes him go into the Family Guy death pose. Why doesn't he do that, actually? That's what he needs to be doing. That would make this game a 10 out of 10. You can statistically track his head trauma by pausing the game. Really? I see jumps and falls. I don't see anything about head trauma. Loved playing Mario with my older brother. But one day we were playing, and when it was my turn, Luigi was hollow, and he stole my Big Mac, so I crushed the PlayStation with a hydraulic press. Falls is all I meant by it. I see. I'm not surprised that I've fallen so many times already. This game is kind of made for that. Oop. Super Mario for PlayStation 4. Only on Nintendo Switch. I still think it's really weird that, like, we live in a time where nostalgia is kind of ruling all. And I don't mean that as just like, oh, it's a bad thing. No, I'm all for it, because we're getting things like Klonoa returning. And that's just good. Oh, hello again, old man. We live in a society. You were playing with your older brother, you were the Luigi all along. I was also skeleton. My only nostalgia is with Kingdom Hearts. I have quite a few games actually that I have nostalgia with. Final Fantasy IV was my first ever RPG. And I think it was also my third game I've ever played in my life. I also have nostalgia for a game called Mutant Chronicles Doom Troopers. Also for the SNES. I played a lot of hand-me-down games, so I have a lot of experience with the SNES and NES, both consoles that were before my time. Sonic 2 appealed to my nostalgia, and I'm not even guilty that I let it do that. Oh, I still have to watch the second movie. I thought you were just talking about, like, the game. I was like, yeah, that's a good game. First game was Pokemon Red, then the original Legend of Zelda, then Kingdom Hearts, then Halo Combat Evolved. Weird to think that Halo Combat Evolved is like 20 or 21 years old now. Oop, I charged that too long. Oop, I didn't charge that long enough. It's really weird because I used to play Halo so much with my brother. Dad was like, she can have a little Halo. There was only one singular game in my life that I wasn't allowed to play. Mama Serval said no to Duke Nukem 64. And why, do you ask? Because booby. Which is kind of hilarious in retrospect, because the Nintendo 64 version is heavily censored and contains no such things. And I totally know this because I definitely waited until I was old enough to play, and I did not at all sneak it out. No siree. I wasn't the type of kid to sneak the things I wasn't supposed to. Not at all. At the very least, it was just games. Game. Singular. Because that was the only game I wasn't allowed to play. I always found it weird, though, because it was like, okay, so I'm allowed to play Mortal Kombat. I'm allowed to play Castlevania. I'm allowed to play God of War. But Duke Nukem is the game where you draw the line, eh? There's a Duke Nukem Vania-style game on grandmother's PC from 1990s. Oh, you're talking about, like, the original first two ones. Sneaking around with virtual boobies, but not real ones. Duke Newt. Dookie Nookie. Hi. And welcome, Kishiru. How are you? Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Progress. Ow. Oh. No progress. No progress. Well, we saw a new screen. So this is a sky sewer. I guess so. Negative progress. I think when it comes to these games, I I actually like them for like just hanging out. These are the kind of games that I chip away at while just hanging out with people. That sewer is the bane of many a new jump kinger. I look forward to actually being able to tackle it. What can I say? I have a very weird approach to these kind of games. Like, I understand people getting into it. Fair enough. But like I understand people getting frustrated at these kind of games, but I don't know. I'm just not frustrated by that. It's probably like I said earlier, where it's like I come in expecting this kind of thing. Okay, I keep doing that. I'm gonna go because I need to play something and drink something, or else I'm gonna. I feel like I'm gonna die. Uh, do a hitless run of Resident Evil 4 on professional difficulty. No night costume. There you go. And take care, Poppy. I do like the ambient noise. I think I mentioned that earlier, but this is a very peaceful sound. I like crickets. Crickets are one of my favorite like ambient like noises to hear out in the wild. Crickets, birds, and rain. You get all three of those and I am just relaxed. Those are the best sounds that this world can offer. Though running water is also really good. Like a little river. Rain is honestly really good. Like, I used to live. I've said this before, but I used to live out in the country. You know, terrible internet. 1 megabyte down, uh, like half a megabyte up. Ow. My dad, however, trained me to think like him that digital bird sounds are the worst. Real birds, they're fine, but computer generated birds, not fine. I mean, maybe I'm more easily pleased on that front then. I don't know. Wish you could, like, don't know, stream but no talk, silent stream. Keep thinking about how much you'd love to stream, but always want to avoid needing a microphone. Okay. So there are a couple things you can do to get around using just your normal voice. You can use a voice changer, for one. You'd still be using a microphone, yes, but if it's your voice that's the problem, no one will ever be able to tell that it's you because of the voice changer. You can also use voice to text to speech. It's a little bit more of a complicated scenario, like more complicated setup, but in that case, there'll be literally no way for people to ever find out what your voice is like if that is your concern. Problem is voice and also speaking out loud over here. Fair enough. It took me a long time to be comfortable with my own voice. I think I've made mention of it, but I've got like some body dysphoria kind of deal. And that's probably because this form that I have possessed is not It does not pertain to what I originally had. Share a house with parents and brother, and soundproof is too pricey. I share a house with my grandma. Grammy Serval. Difference, though, is my grandma likes to use headphones of her own, noise-canceling ones. So she can't hear me down here. I can't hear her up here. All works. Ouch. Option 2 is the Zentrea route. Yeah, they're not the only one that I've seen do it, but I do know that it is an option for sure. And I'm glad that they've seen a following despite using that, because I know initially when they were doing that, at least, a lot of people were kind of turned off by it, because it's like, well, I'm not, vibing with the actual person at that point. It's just a computer. Like, no, that's still the person. There's grandma with headphones at the top. Oh no, she made the enchiladas. My grandma makes really good enchiladas, by the way. And I have snagged this recipe for a reason, because that is a recipe that deserves to be spread. Okay, what was this again? I already forgot. Oh, not too bad, actually. This is a much more ominous sound. Don't think I've ever had an authentic enchilada. I don't think this is really an authentic enchilada either. Especially since it's covered in cheese. Oh, thank you, Kishiru. I didn't actually have a chance to test out the subscription sound that I had tried out. Yeah, all of my alert sounds are now Minecraft cave noises. I could stream with Windows Notepad open like I'm badly teaching people about pirating software in 2008. What is that track that everyone was using in 2008? It was like 00 something Dreamscape. I'll refund if you don't get frustrated right now. I don't know. I'm not very good at getting frustrated with these kind of games. Yeah, I think it was 009. Oop. Oop. Still, we made a decent amount of progress there. But thank you for the sub, Kishiru. I still need to make, like, actual custom animations for it at some point, but that is something I haven't had time for, unfortunately. With college and whatnot. And yeah, I made it cave noises, 2 crows, and enter the sewer in the first hour. It's quite good progress. I wouldn't know what good progress is in this game, because I am kind of just vibing. Like I said before, I don't know what I was doing there. Like I said before, I kind of when I play these games, I very much do it more with like a hanging out with friends kind of deal, which probably helps. Ouch. There is a huge cabin above the sewers. Shouldn't be too hard to get through. What if you made upward progress in this game, but then it said Control Z? I mean, that's how most of these games work. Actually, come to think of it, that's also how a lot of the quarter-munching arcade games worked. Though, I will say, weirdly enough, I kind of miss arcade games. You know, going to a bowling alley or whatever and playing House of the Dead or, Metal Slug. I feel like I had more fun with arcades than the arcade cabinets than I do the VR arcades that are starting to crop up now. Don't get me wrong, the VR arcades are awesome, but I also, I don't know. I think there's a certain vibe that the old arcades have that isn't really being captured in VR yet. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is if someone was to make like Resident Evil Mercenaries in VR and then make that an arcade game to play with everyone, like multiplayer with friends, I think that right there would be like a VR arcade hit. That right there would be like, okay, I have to go to the VR arcade with friends now. We're gonna play Mercenaries together. Because Resident Evil 4 recently got its Mercenaries mode. And, okay, I already really liked Mercenaries before, but the VR Mercenaries mode is just so good. Like, it has no right to be as good as it is. Like, it's even got a challenge mode, so you can do these weird little inversions of what you're used to. That's just nice. I like that. Been to an arcade sometimes, mostly played the ticket games because I could exchange them for, like, plastic dinos. Understandable. Ouch. I have two memorable arcade games. One of them was some kind of Cowboys game, literally cows and spaghetti western setting, and a Simpsons game where Maggie was kidnapped. The Simpsons game you're referring to is the beat 'em up, right? Never played an arcade video game. Always wanted to. Seen stuff like Marvel vs. Capcom in the shopping mall cinemas around here. Seen some driving games. About Marvel vs. Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is actually on Steam. And from what I hear from one of my friends who likes their fighting games, it's pretty good. And it was the Simpsons beat 'em up. That's actually a game I really wanted to play, but never had a chance to, because the cabinets were nowhere near me. The arcade games that I played were things like House of the Dead, Metal Slug, and I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was a bullet hell game. But I don't know what it was. I vaguely remember that you play as, like, a helicopter. And of course, you're playing as an American. But, like, there's aliens for some reason. Visited Games Museum last week. Ah, I'm jealous. There's a lot of places I'd like to visit with working retro consoles and arcades. That sounds really cool. I want to get back into fighting games and such. Fighting games are a genre that I've tried to get into, but I'm not really capable of. I think the only fighting game that I've actually managed to fully embrace, aside from Lethal League Blaze, which, if you haven't played Lethal League Blaze, please do. Very good game. Always down to play ball. But the only other fighting game aside from Lethal League Blaze is Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is what I would consider a simple fighter. And I've had a lot of fun with it. My main for that is either Beerus or Android 21. Ouch. Ouch. It's hard to get a real grasp on how much jump you're gonna have, but I've gotten to a point where I can kind of gauge what I got. I mean, I'm still, like, headbutting a wall a lot, but don't worry, we all know you're falling down on purpose to keep the cricket ambience. That would be a worthy excuse, wouldn't it? God, one of these days, one of the things I want to try and make is a sandbox block game, like Minecraft or Terraria. Because, I don't know, I love those kinds of games. I like Terraria more than Minecraft, by all means. Minecraft, to me, is too free, ironically enough. When you give me too much freedom, I don't know what to do with it, and I get bored. Whereas Terraria always has something for you to work towards. What do you do now that hard mode is done? Well, you can mine the new ores that your world has, and after that, you can start fighting the mechanical bosses. Okay, what about after the mechanical bosses? You can go beat up Plantera, and after Plantera, you can go visit the dungeon, which now has new stuff. And on top of that, you're now able to go over to the temple and beat up the golem. And that's the thing I like. I like having a goal in mind, one that goes a little more, at the pace that Terraria does. Oh yeah, it's not a matter of one's better than the other. Well, okay, it is that, but it's not better than the other objectively, it's better than the other for me. An opinion piece, as opposed to, like, an objective look at the two games. There's so much I want to do, and thinking about it gives me a brain hurty. Oh, I understand entirely. There's a few things that I want to do, and haven't yet. one of those I can't speak much on just yet. Ouch. But, like, for me, the reason I like Terraria more than Minecraft is the way Terraria progresses. Even though you play Terraria mainly, have you given a look to Twilight Forest mod of Minecraft? No, I have not. I will try to keep it in mind. As oftentimes I personally find that I like the mods better than vanilla Minecraft, though I'm also a firm believer in if I have to mod the game to get enjoyment out of it, that's not a good sign. Because, like, I can mod Skyrim to be a game that I actually like, but that's still not good, because that means I don't like Skyrim. I like what the community has done to Skyrim. Have a Tapas account, and sort of a long while back started a silly Sonic joke comic just because, and canceled it a while ago. But then I check back and it has 342 views, 22 likes, and 12 subs, which kind of has me wanting to return to this just a little bit. To be perfectly honest with you, on the front of webcomics, I would go back if you think it would be fun to come back to it, because if there's one thing that a lot of people, including myself, tend to forget, it's that you will look back on your older work, your older webcomics, your older webcomic pages, and you're gonna cringe. That is inevitable. But the thing to remember, and this is a very important thing to remember, is that you're cringing not because of failure, you're cringing because it's really just been made apparent how much you've improved and changed over the years. I have some really old art that when I look back on it, it's like, why did I draw that? Well, because at the time, that was my best work. It's not exactly very appealing to me these days, but it's a testament to how much I have changed and improved over the years. I keep it around because that is proof that I have evolved. It is a spooky dimension of Minecraft and has a boss adventure / progression mode akin to Terraria progress system. That's good. Oop, I wasn't paying attention. I need to understand the workflow of making pages ahead of time instead of doing all the work between updates. Oh, that is a thing I was bad at too. I have actually tried my hands at webcomics and the like multiple times. I know Poppy isn't here anymore to really talk about this, but at one point I tried my hand at a thing called quests. If you know about Ruby Quest or Homestuck, you have a general idea of what a quest is. Basically, it's like a choose-your-own-adventure webcomic. The author makes panels. The panels then get, actions recommended by the viewers / readers. I tried my hand at a few of those. One of those I actually felt pretty okay with for a while, but I found out after a while that I wasn't really satisfied with the work that I had done on it, because, well, I went in without a plan, and it really showed. Maybe it didn't show to the viewers. I'm not sure. I never asked. But I always felt when I looked over that, it was like, oh, it's so obvious that, like, I'm just making this up as I go. And it's honestly something that I have to work on as well. Because I wanna do a webcomic. I also wanna animate. I also wanna make video games. There's a lot of things I'd like to do. I'd like to be someone who's like capable of doing everything, but I am one person. Ouch. But I think that's also an important thing to remember. You are one person. You're not going to be able to do everything. And yeah, it's not exactly fun to think about, but like, I think also it's good to have focus. Because if you're not focused on what you're working on, it's really hard to pour in all the effort that you want in it. Okay, so V-Sheep knows about quests. Okay, no webcomic creator who does this, and to help further, they have a Patreon to get access to the content as soon as it's done, as opposed to the free-to-read audience. I know a lot of webcomic artists that do that. Can't do Patreon, don't have own money info and all. It takes a bit to set up, like a bank account and all that, but I don't know if it's any different in Brazil or whatever. I only have experience in America, but like, it was relatively painless when I set up my bank information. Don't know what the bigger issue is. I couldn't tell you, because to be perfectly honest, I am not entirely familiar with Brazil as a whole. It's something I would like to learn more about. I'm always down to learn more about other countries and stuff. Oh, hi, Murphy. And thank you. I'm doing a PNG for a while, until I become more powerful. Is Brazil going through super hyperinflation right now? I mean, question is, what country isn't going through inflation right now? Also, hello, what did you walk into? Do you mean the conversation or the game? Because the game is Jump King. It's supposed to be a rage game. Because of stuff like that. But, like, I don't know. Conversation? Oh, we were talking about webcomics, and then we moved on to the topic of money. Ouch. Familiar but never played. I saw a lot of people getting, like, really angry at this game. But I don't know, I find it kind of chill, actually. But maybe I'm just built different. Just meant for the currency standard, last I heard, the government of Brazil was just printing money to solve the need for money. Yeah, that doesn't solve anything. Oop. Having a bit of a headache. Maybe I should go for a bit. Drink some ice cold water while you're at it. That usually helps a lot for headaches. Ow. How does one even fix inflation? Genuine question, because I'm not a big economics person. I don't have an answer for you either. Because I also am not a very economically knowledgeable person. I'm a bit more familiar with getting out of a depression, but that's because I just got done reading about the Great Depression, and I had to do a whole college paper on it. You let the lower class meet their needs and not raise the price to match the raise in wages. Alternative solution. Tax the rich. Because Lord knows they need to be paying their taxes. Eat the rich, yes. I'm trying to remember what year it was that we were covering in history class, but it had like the highest income tax in the entirety of US history. I think it was the 60s. What did Richard do that you want to eat him? Oh, I see, rich. Would that mean like federal aid? Federal aid would probably be a part of it, yeah. But a big part of it would be less of the, the minimum wage has to go up, because that doesn't really fix the problem. It's sort of like a crappy band-aid on an actual problem. Oop. Close. Not as close. I wonder how many people have stopped by this stream at this point and are disappointed that I am not angry. Like, genuine curiosity there. Because I imagine most people, they come to watch the funny scream. At least 10. Huh? Huh? Secret walls? There's hidden walls in this game? Oh! New info found. You're here to discuss inflation? You might want to rephrase that just to be safe. I'm not frustrated, I was actually kind of surprised. I love secret walls. Like, secret walls, I think are always really cool because it means there's like other ways that you can approach a game. I love secrets. Caught on to what I was saying, eh? There are a couple hidden places. I will keep that in mind. Maybe one of them can make the trek upwards easier. Ow. Ow. I still wish that when he fell down, he did like the Family Guy pose, as opposed to just face planting. Though the face planting is still funny. Imagine if you took fall damage. Extra hard mode, you can actually die, and if you die, you have to restart from the very beginning. Let's face it, there's a mod for just about anything when it comes to games. Like, I boot up Blade and Sorcery. I find mods to turn the game into the best VR Star Wars game. Not that that takes much. A lot of the VR Star Wars games are actually garbage. Like, okay. Real talk. Real talk. How hard do you think it would be to make a VR Star Wars game? And I mean that as like a genuine question. Because I would think, like, we're excluding the whole aspect of the difficulty of VR development. We're considering it from a whole, just, let's say we're the ultimate VR developer. We can develop games in VR super easy. But with those talents, how easy do you think it would be to make a Star Wars VR game? Ouch. In the game Lost Egg, it's basically Jump King using an egg trying to climb up the furniture and appliances in a household setting. It has a health bar from hitting the ground too often. Somehow, not surprised that such a thing exists. Oop. Because, on the topic of the VR Star Wars thing, I don't think it would be that hard to make a VR Star Wars game. What is the thing that people want more than anything when it comes to VR? It's power fantasy. Oh yeah, I actually haven't set up a lurk command yet. I should do that. But yeah, have a good lurk, Murphy. But the thing with, like, Star Wars VR, yeah, lightsabers. People are gonna want lightsabers. And, like, power fantasy and lightsabers go hand in hand. Because there's nothing quite as destructive as lightsabers and the Force in Star Wars. And while, yes, you can use lightsabers in those VR Star Wars games, it's... how do I put this? The combat is extraordinarily limited. And more often than not, the games seem to be trying to sell you on the fact that they are Star Wars more than a game. Underwhelming? Yeah, that's definitely a way to put it. Because when I'm playing Blade and Sorcery with Star Wars mods, it actually feels great. And the reason behind that is I am using those lightsabers to duel, like actual other Jedi or Sith, And that feels awesome. That is what I want in a, Star Wars VR game. And I'm saying that as someone who isn't even particularly a big fan of Star Wars. I like the series, but it is not exactly the thing that I would seek out to put on my walls for posters and put on my bed or anything. But I do enjoy Star Wars. Destroyable terrain would also be good. That I can understand why that isn't a thing in the VR games, though, because destroyable terrain, even in just regular PC games, is something of a nightmare. But there are two exact things that I can think of that would work very well in like a VR scenario for Star Wars. Number one, like a game where you can duel Jedi or Sith, using a lightsaber. Bonus points if it's got multiplayer of some kind. And then, if you want to appeal to me specifically, that's easy. All you have to do is take the original 2005 Battlefront, like the 2005 Battlefront 2, and then make it VR. You do that, and I'm sold. No questions. Because I don't know about you, but being able to play a game that has like so much going on in VR just sounds awesome. VR airplane combat dogfighting would be awesome. It kind of is. It heavily depends on how well the VR adaptation is coded. How not to do it would be No Man's Sky. Like, No Man's Sky, I love you. You're great. But your VR kind of sucks. For PC VR. For PlayStation VR, it's about what you'd expect. Not that PSVR is terrible, it's just I'm used to a certain level of quality that the No Man's Sky VR does not deliver on. Because I can't do, like, a proper walk around on my planet in No Man's Sky VR. I have this very stilted control, which still feels like I'm holding controllers. And that is a thing that most PC VR games avoid, I think. Because the last thing you want to do is make it feel like you're just playing a normal game, right? The idea for VR is to get immersed in the game you're playing. When I played Half-Life Alyx, I didn't really think of, the controllers I was holding. I only paid attention to the game I was playing because I, honest to God, was immersed. I remember when joystick controllers were a thing. I mean, I don't, because I wasn't really alive. Well, okay. Undead by that time. But, it's just one of those things where VR, you don't want the feeling of, oh, I'm holding a controller. Because that just kind of takes you out of it. I keep over jumping that. No Man's Sky. How do I describe this in a way that makes sense to people who have never used VR? Okay, so main thing for a lot of VR games is the way the HUD is done. You know, your heads up display. Your heads up display in most VR games is going to be on your wrist, or if it's not on your wrist, it is hovering on your headset in a way that is constantly visible and constantly legible. Of course, that isn't always easy because, you know, some people move around in very weird ways that cause you to need to make an HUD for those weirder people. But great example is like for a bad VR HUD is again No Man's Sky, because it's designed to be like a regular pancake game HUD, which means that it's set up like you're using a monitor, but that amount of information on a VR headset does not work, like, at all. So what ends up happening instead is the HUD for No Man's Sky, it'll budge if you look enough in a certain direction. Best way to think of it, if you've ever played a Wii first person shooter, you know how there's like a dead zone in the center? That's kind of how it works for the HUD. The HUD doesn't move until your view moves enough in a lot of the weirder VR HUDs. But No Man's Sky is a little weirder than that. So, what No Man's Sky does is your HUD does not move until you rotate using left or right on the right analog stick, which is mega weird. And one of the things you can also notice is that the HUD determines your quote-unquote true viewpoint. Because if you look where the HUD isn't, you'll notice that LOD models are popping in. You'll notice that certain things behind you, or behind where the HUD is, just are missing. If you're on a bubble planet, anything behind that HUD will be non-existent, but everything in front of it will. Which is very disorienting when you're just trying to, you know, look at all the sights on the planet you just landed on. There's a lot of things about No Man's Sky VR that I could complain about, but I think I'd be here for literal hours complaining. And I don't complain because, oh, No Man's Sky is terrible. It's far from it. It's a much better game than it launched as. But I also want it to be better. I want that VR to be as good as it can manage. Because I'd love to explore planets in VR. That would be an awesome thing. Exploring planets is already really cool on, like, the PC and consoles. But there's so many, like, hiccups with the VR version that if you had to choose between VR and the PC version, just go PC. There's literally no reason to ask which one you should do. Then again, that's a kind of a problem a lot of the like PC to VR ports have. The only VR HUD I've experienced popped up when you pause the game. I've seen a few of those. I have a lot more experience in VR than some people do, mostly because I have a headset and I've played VR games since 2018. Know How You Feel was really interested in No Man's Sky right up to the release date, then was let down by its initial release and didn't care much for it afterwards. You see, I wasn't burned by the initial release because I never at any point knew it existed. I legitimately had never thought about it or heard about it until way after it started to redeem itself. I basically joined the moment the redemption arc was starting. Oop. It's not the fault of the game per se, since it had lots of time to update. Yeah. And I feel like the updates they've done are great. Like, it's very obvious that they've got a plan that is feasible this time, and they're doing very good on executing it now. And I'm proud for them. Like, I'm proud for Hello Games, because to recover from such a failure is monumental. Most games, when they fail as hard as, No Man's Sky did, they don't get that second chance. That was their only chance. And No Man's Sky is unusual in that it got its second chance. Had a tremendous hype before release. Oh yeah. Like I said, I may not have known about it during that time, but I have, read up on it and seen videos about what happened to it. And like I said, it's really impressive, and I'm proud of Hello Games for being able to pull that out, because that is not an easy task for multiple reasons. Like, not only did they manage to get a second chance, something so many games don't ever get, but they also managed to, and this is a big one, they also managed to do it without taking it too hard. I know if I was, a developer on No Man's Sky, and that was the reaction I got from the game that I worked so hard on, I'd be devastated. I don't think I would be able to fully want to commit to coming back to it. I would move on. The amount of strength it takes to come back to that failure and say to yourself, okay, let's make this better. That takes a lot. Will say, going back to an earlier talking point on FPS Wii games, Conduit was god-awful, but it had the very best grenade tossing system I've ever played with. Didn't save the game, but it's still memorable. It's always kind of funny how that works. Onslaught, that's the game it's called, was a little WiiWare first-person shooter that I played. By all means, not the best first-person shooter ever. I mean, first off, it was a WiiWare game. But, the thing that sticks out to me about Onslaught, to this day, will always be the melee weapon, which somehow manages to be the dumbest and coolest thing I've ever had to work with. You get a laser whip. If I ever make a first-person, shooter VR game, I'm going to have a laser whip as the melee weapon, because that is just too cool. then again, I'm also someone who maybe not lives and breathes the rule of cool, but I certainly love the rule of cool. It wasn't a rubber chicken, minus points, but laser whip is cool too. Honestly, like, the reason I remember the laser whip so much is because you shook the nunchuck and it would, like, kind of track your movements. And it wasn't perfect, but seeing that thing lash across the screen as you were attacking those alien bugs was honestly so satisfying. Oop. Overcharged that a bit. I'm trying to think of other games that had, like, a melee that I thought was satisfying. Because quite often in first-person games, the melee is the least satisfying thing in the entire game. Like, you don't hear people singing the praises of the axe in Quake. That's how the grenade system worked too. The nunchuck was used to pull the pin, giving a trajectory and momentum and timing the release. I think you would love, like, the way grenades are handled in most VR games then. Because, like, for example, I've been playing Resident Evil 4 in VR, which unfortunately is a Quest 2 exclusive. I think that is a mistake. I honest to God think that VR exclusives shouldn't exist yet. It's too early in the lifespan to be separating the libraries like that. But one of the things I really like about, using grenades in that is Resident Evil 4 is one of those games where you will get into a moment where, like, oh boy, hey, look at that. That's kind of tense and panicky. And, like, throwing a grenade in a panic and having it work so well is a testament to how good the design of Resident Evil 4 VR is, because that is not easy. Quake had an axe? Yeah, Quake 1 has an axe for the melee weapon. Played Quake 3 Arena, which had a gauntlet chainsaw, but an axe must have been an earlier run in the earlier run and gun games. Yeah, it was in the first game. I actually don't even remember if Quake 2 had a melee. I don't think it did. You had the blaster pistol instead, which was infinite ammo, but did, like, jack for damage. You basically never used it unless you were desperate. Oop. Oop. Back to square one. Alright. I always think one of the funniest things is, like, I have a coworker in the gas station that I work at, which I'm currently doing a an extended leave, like a extended leave of absence or whatever, so I could focus on college and stuff like that. But this coworker is always super surprised when I talk about certain older games. Like, I was talking to them about some of the limitations of the NES, like the color palette, the you know, how many sprites were capable of being displayed all at once, and they were sitting there looking at me, and there's like, how old are you again? And it's like, I mean, yeah, I'm young, but like, I can know that knowledge. That was the farthest you had gotten so far. It was. I like I said before, I do this as a means to just vibe, and I think that's the best way to approach these games. Plus, I don't usually get angry, which is actually kind of hilarious in retrospect, because when I was younger, I had some anger issues. But these days, not so much anymore. It actually takes a bit to get me angry. And usually if I am angry, it's because of something that just I can't possibly deal with. So, like, great example, the hacker problem that was in Elden Ring for a bit there. Oop. Like, you can't do anything about hackers. I never fully understood the appeal, as it were, to hacking a multiplayer game and just messing with people. That doesn't sound like fun, really. Like, I don't know anything about Elden Ring. Oh no, I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just talking about one aspect of the game that has gotten me to stop playing for a bit. I would not spoil anything about Elden Ring if, you know, I know there's probably a bunch of people right here, right now, that have never heard anything about it. The equivalent of trolling. There are kinds of not people in the world. I mean, I guess. It's just, for me, I always prefer the... What's the word they use for it? It's not white hackers. The people who hack the game just to make things fun for everyone. Like, in Dark Souls 2, there was a hacker problem as well, but what did those people do? They hacked the spell system so that they could make art. They would make it so, like, their crystal soul spears would go in the shape of anything. It could be the American flag, it could be a horse. I keep undershooting that. But, like, I understand that. Like, that kind of hacking I can understand, because you're having fun with the game still. Like, sure, you're hacking it, but, like, there is a good side to hacking. In fact, another example of good hacking would be, you know, hacking the game to find, you know, cut content and share it with the world. Because seeing cut content is pretty cool. You know, see aspects of a game that never were your favorite game. More of it. There are so many aspects to hacking. I just never understand why people ever use it to mess with others. Remember, Doom was hacked to find hidden content. I still think one of the games that will always interest me when it comes to, you know, being hacked to find content will always be Dark Souls 1. Because Dark Souls 1 went through some radical changes over time. Oop. I'll get used to that eventually. Overshot that. Didn't quite hit that as I had hoped. I think that last jump you can do a full power jump from somewhere. Maybe. To be honest, of the videos that I had... Huh? Ballin'. Worth it. Doesn't matter, got a hat. I found the ball cap. I did. By accident. I will say the one problem I have with this game is it is making my hand cramp. A lot of strategy of playing this game is simplifying the difficult jumps, so finding the full power jumps is useful. I can imagine so. Oh, well, there's one right there. I overshot that. Also, I'm pretty sure it's because this is a slower paced game or whatever, but 2 hours of stream so far, not a single dropped frame from network. That's not bad. Even if it starts dropping frames from network right now, that is still a pretty good track record. Oop. Ouch. That's good. Did the rain ever start over there? If it did, I didn't hear it. Which is honestly impressive because the weather around here has been nightmarishly awful. Are there alternative buttons for jumping? There is not. Because I'm just sitting here thinking, my thumb is kind of getting sore from this. Out of curiosity, remap controls, that would be a smart idea. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make it back to the sewers, like right here. So out of curiosity, does it save my position? if I quit right here, will it keep me just underneath the sewers? I don't know when or if I'll come back to this game, but it'd be nice to save progress if I can. Don't know for sure. I will look it up real quick. Okay. The game autosaves by itself every single second. There is no such thing as a manual save. Jump King does it for you. Even if you rage quit during a fall and then start the game up again, it continues in exactly the same place in the middle of your fall. So it should keep me right here. That's neat. The Dark Souls autosave system. Well, I know that Dark Souls didn't do it, but still. I'm mostly confident that's how it works, because if you try to quit the game while you're falling... Yeah. Well, at the very least, however, we made some pretty decent progress. I don't know what the average amount of progress people have in this game is. Maybe I made an average amount of progress, or maybe I was faster than most. I wouldn't know, because pretty much my only real exposure to this game, seeing it be played, other than just knowing other people are playing it, is from Callie. Other than that, the only thing I really know about this game is that there are people playing the game. No idea what the average is, but it felt average to me. I wouldn't be surprised if it was average. I felt like I was making decent progress. First hour was great progress, but second hour slowed down a bit. Well, the platforming did get a little more challenging. That'll do it. But it seems that we did pretty decent. That's a lot of jumps. I have played a few of these kinds of games before. So I guess maybe I had some knowledge of what I was doing. I don't know. But that all said and done, I think I'm gonna call it. Because while I could remap the controls to make it more comfortable for my hands, I think I got the information I needed. This went surprisingly well. And yeah, it was good to chat with you again too, Bulldog. And yeah, I'm glad the internet sorted out too, because good lord, that was getting annoying. No joke. It was like, I would try to stream and it would drop so many frames, it would just die. Let's see. I don't really care about quote-unquote spoilers for this game, so I'm going to raid another person who is currently playing it. And, we'll give them some support. So thank you, Bulldog. Thank you, V-Sheep, Murphy, Kishiru. I think I already said V-Sheep. I saw Gabe earlier in the stream. Poppy. Anyone else? I think that's everyone who stopped by that chatted. And everyone who didn't chat and was just lurking the entire time, you're appreciated too. Hope you all have a lovely day. And, when Wednesday comes around, I got something for you. Can you guess what it is? Call of Duty Black Ops 1, the entire campaign. It'll be the ultimate test of my internet. If it succeeds, I will go back to regularly streaming. If it fails, I will do some more fiddling around with internet. But it should be a good test, because that's about 5 to 7 hours of gameplay, depending on how bad I am at the game. So yeah. You all have a lovely day, and I will see you on Wednesday. Ciao!